Hi, my name is Rachel Bearman, and I am a third-year rabbinical student at Hebrew Union College Jewish Institute of Religion, and I am studying at the college's historic Cincinnati campus. Today, I would like to tell you about one of the real treasures of the Cincinnati campus, the American Jewish Archives. This semester, I am writing a term paper about the history of Temple Emanuel in Duluth, Minnesota. As I began my research, I felt sure that I would be the one to locate something so amazing that it would glow as I pulled it from the archival box. However, as my research continued, I realized that it was almost certain that I would not stumble across anything written by Isaac Mayer Wise or Dr. Marcus or any of the other giants of our institution. Instead, I discovered that the magic of the archives rests in the fact that it holds pieces of both extraordinary and seemingly ordinary life stories. The document that I would like to share with you today is a letter that Mrs. Florence Lee sent to her friend, Mrs. Henry Abraham, on December 8, 1910. I chose to present this letter for two reasons. First, because it speaks to the important work that the women of early 20th century Duluth, Minnesota accomplished. And second, because I was able to form a picture of Mrs. Lee as a hard-working woman with a whole lot of spirit, just by reading the words that she wrote to her friend over 100 years ago. A little background information. Mrs. Abraham and Mrs. Lee were both friends and colleagues. Mrs. Abraham served in the Ladies' Aid Society of Temple Emanuel, an organization that was dedicated to relieving the burdens of the Jews of Duluth. Mrs. Lee served as the tuberculosis visiting nurse of the Duluth Anti-Tuberculosis Committee and had published an article in the St. Paul Medical Journal about the benefits of having those suffering from tuberculosis spend time in small shelters, she calls them shacks, that could be built at their homes. In that same medical journal, Dr. E.L. Tahoy reported that 10% of all deaths were due to tuberculosis, and that every year over 2,000 people died of the disease in Minnesota alone. In order for you to get the full Minnesotan experience, I've asked another woman with a whole lot of spirit to read the letter for us, my grandmother, Dolores Anderson, whose parents both lived in Duluth at the time that this letter was written. I hope that you enjoy it.
My dear Mrs. Abraham, I have just mailed a check to the Indian Lumber Company for $3.95 to pay for the lumber which made a shack for Philip Cohen. I would respectfully, earnestly, and forcefully ask the ladies of the Temple Aid Society if they would, be willing to pay for the lumber. Cohen is doing remarkably well physically and attends tuberculosis dispensary at the courthouse twice a week. As long as he can be kept under this strict supervision, he will probably continue to gain, as he has been doing for the past 8 months. Cohen's new home at 1231 East 7th Street is ideal in comparison with the old living quarters of the family on Lake Avenue. The children look well, and even Mrs. Cohen brightened up wonderfully. I do think a friendly visit to the family would be good, but I do not think that any relief is needed. Mrs. Cohen might feel inspired to be a trifle neater if she felt that at all times and at sundry times callers would appear. The cellar needed cleaning up very badly the last time I was there, and work of this character will not hurt Mr. Cohen in the least. Aside from the above business communication, my dear Mrs. Abraham, you have my sincere sympathy for that mean old attack of tonsillitis you are fighting. I have been putting up a fight against it for the past 10 days, and it has beaten me by swinging into a nasty bronchitis, which I suppose will hang around all winter. Hope that you will be at the civic banquet on Saturday. This old typewriter is the most aggravating machine, and the more wheezy I get, the more wheelie the machine gets. Very sincerely, Florence Lee.
I hope that you enjoyed that little trip back in time. I encourage all of you to come to the American Jewish Archives and start exploring.